Hey, it's Denise, and forgive me, I know I look like, I look kind of like crap. I'm just really overtired, and I just wanted to get this video in quick before I go to bed. Uh, I had meant to do it possibly yesterday, or even I tried to do it today. Just battery in my car died. I felt like, okay, I'm misprepared. I bought one of those things that you're supposed to be able to it basically is kind of like a charger that you're supposed to be able to get like at least one jump start to start your own car. So I'm like, feeling like Miss Independent Woman here. I'm going to, no problem. I'll just pop the hood and I'll figure out how this thing works. And I go to pull the handle to pop the hood and it breaks off in my hand. So there I sat with a dead battery and no way to open the hood of my car. Luckily, my ex, who has the same, believe it or not, same make and model of car, just a different color. We both drive 1995 Chevy Suburbans. He found a video online that basically, gave you directions. And a lot of it was kind of blind luck because you are literally doing it blind, trying to reach like a wire thing that you've curved and through that tiny little space that's there. If the hood isn't partially, like it wouldn't even partially pop, so that you can then put your fingers and open it the rest of the way. So when the handle breaks off in your hand inside the car, it doesn't open at all. So you've got a very, very small area, like basically coat hanger width almost. I ended up using, I didn't have a wire coat hanger that was solid enough. I ended up taking apart the handle of a 5-gallon bucket of it's either palm oil or coconut oil, something that I had from making soap. Anyway, long story short, got it open. The damn jump your own car thing didn't work. Luckily, my very kind neighbor pulled his truck over and we got my car started. I'm hoping that I think part of the problem is because of going nowhere. The car just sat too many days without being started. And I mean, the battery is only a few months old. It's a new battery. So, I don't know. Let's hope it stays without any problems. But anyway, the video, and I'm just going to talk about it for a few minutes. I'll do a full video on it hopefully tomorrow when I actually get around to doing it. But I just want to show you what I'm going to do so that when you see me doing it, I won't have to explain all of this and go an hour like I sometimes do when I really mean to not go over a half hour. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, welcome to my channel. I do talk about a variety of things, product reviews, unboxings. As a matter of fact, just got some stuff from Harry and David's over the last couple days, and I swear they have the best pears on the planet. You have to eat them with like holding a paper towel. The paper towel, now to be fair, I had half, like those paper towels that you can rip like half a sheet off. I figured half a sheet of paper towel is enough to eat a pear. It was completely soaked that it was starting to drip through the paper towel. That's how much juice drips out of these when you're eating them. And like, I don't eat like some sort of savage. I'm eating like a normal person, trying not to drip, and still that much. My son took the more appropriate, probably, certainly the more practical, he is 17 after all, approach, and he just leaned over the kitchen sink while he was eating his. Okay, back to what we're doing. I want to plant my Aerogarden plants I want to start my seeds in my now I've mentioned I own several Aerogardens. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just happen to love their products, and I'm not terribly mechanically inclined. So for me, a hydroponic system that has a super easy, push button touchscreen interface that tells you when it needs water and reminds you when it needs fertilizer, perfect for me. Anyway, the Bounty Elite, I believe, don't quote me on that, I think the Harvest is one size smaller, and then the Bounty Elite. One of them has 7 and one of them has 9. The one I have is the one that has 9. I actually have 2 of these. I have one down on the kitchen counter, and that's the one that has the cherry tomato plant growing in it currently, which is starting to put flowers on. And then, so this is what the top of, and then I have a second one. So this is the top of the second one. As you can see, you'd be able to put 9 plants in there. And the way you would do that is, assuming you're starting from seed, you would take one of these baskets. You would take one of these little, I'll take one out and show you. One of these little, it's kind of like just like a peat moss plug. It has a very small hole. Sometimes you have to kind of split the top a little bit. You put your seeds in there. You drop your little basket thing in here. And then you put them in the holes. And you set it in your Aerogarden. Now, this is what the Aerogarden comes with. What you can buy as an option, and I bought it almost immediately after getting my first Aerogardens because I realized, like, hey, to get an early start in the spring, instead of buying, like the $5 little plastic dome greenhouses where your plants are then in the, those little plastic trays that you have to kind of crush to get the plant out of. I hate when I rip apart a plant by accident trying to get it out of those, especially if you've been growing it for weeks. They do sell as an accessory. It's a 50 space seed starter, and they do happen to sell these bags. Conveniently enough, they sell them in packs of 50. You can get them on Amazon, or you can order them from Aerogarden directly. I don't know if there's really any price difference, but they're Aerogarden grow sponges is what they call them if you're looking to buy them. Now, in the case of this, you don't use a basket. You just put your seeds in and you just drop this in here. It's basically, as you can see at the bottom, its own basket because you're not leaving these in there that long. As soon as they, as your plants start getting bigger, you're going to pop them out of there, at least most of them. Well, actually all of them, because if you're going to grow them in an Aerogarden, you would switch it over to the ones that couldn't be grown in this, because there's just not enough space to grow plants really in that. So you're going to then take, your little plant, your young plant is going to be growing in this. Its roots are going to be sticking out because that's where they've been getting their water. And my plan, yes, I have one. My plan is then, this is my first year I'm going to use these. In the past, I have used peat pots. And then I saw another YouTuber, I believe it was Roots and Refuge Farm. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was them mentioning these biodegradable little bags, and they are inexpensive, and basically they're like about so tall and so wide, and you get, I think it's 400 of them in a package, and hopefully I'm holding this up the right way. You can all make fun of me for not having my glasses on, right? I'll be holding it up to you upside down. Yes, I am holding it the right way. 400-piece biodegradable nursery bags, plant seedling bags. So once they get a good start in here, they got a little bit of a root system, you can then put them in some potting mix or whatever type of soil. Let me hold that up. I'm trying to get it where the camera and the light both get it, so you can see what it says. I do believe I ordered these on Amazon. So you can let them grow in there until you're ready to either put them outside or transfer them into whatever final container they're going to actually grow in. This, like I said, is really just for getting them, a large number of seedlings started at once in a small space, and then you transfer them out. Now, personally, when I did this last year, I took a large, a sketch kind of notebook, that an artist would use, and I'm no artist, and I made I sort of made myself like a map of the different rows and what I had planted in each cell, because otherwise I'm never going to remember what's in each one. And that way, when it came time to transplant them, I knew exactly what each row of plants was. And, for me, that worked. You might have a system that works better for you. And I just stuck it right on the wall with a piece of tape behind the Aerogarden that I had these growing in at the time. So tomorrow I'm going to be going through my seed collection, trying to come up with maybe some vegetables I can talk my son into eating. He's not a big vegetable person, but I do feel like, and I know I've said it every video recently, if you've never gardened before, I truly believe this is the year to grow a garden. I think the more self-sufficient we all are, the less panic buying there will be. If you've got plenty of lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and things growing in your own yard, then there's no reason to panic if they don't have them at the supermarket. And if more people would do that, we really need to get back to being more independent as far as our food production. In just a generation or two, we've lost so many of the skills that go into growing and preserving our food. And while horrible things are happening and we are all living under, certainly times we probably never thought we would have to live through something like this, if there is a silver lining to such a thing, the one I can think of is that maybe it's opening people's eyes to the fact that we've become too complacent and too reliant on giant agribusiness to put food on our tables. And we've lost the ability to put food on our own table if the grocery store closed. None of us should be in that position. And zoning regulations that stop people from keeping a couple chickens in their yard or stop people from having front yard gardens. We all need to deal with our politicians on a local level and tell them to knock that shit off. People need to have the right to use their land that they own, even if it's just a small amount, to grow some food for their family. Certainly you don't want to have it unsightly. Throw some flowers in there so it's decorative, but you should be able to grow food in your own yard. And if your town has legislature, your town legislature has any sort of statutes against that, that is something to bring up, because there are towns that don't let you put a garden really anywhere that is visible. And what if your house is pretty much set back on your property and your front yard is most of your property? You want to be able to put in a couple raised beds maybe, or at least do some container gardening, some large containers. And I think it's a smart thing to do. So tomorrow I'm going to go through my seeds, decide what 50 I'm going to start in here. I'm also going to start some seed potatoes in muck buckets. Now, if you're familiar with horses and barns and stuff, you know what a muck bucket is. It's like I think they range from like 30 to 45 or so gallons. Big plastic bucket with like nylon rope handles on either side that you can lift it up. They're round. I'm going to try to plant some seed potatoes in those. And because I live in an apartment, as I mentioned. It was an old farmhouse. It was added on to, but the part I live in is mostly the original old farmhouse. But I don't have a yard that I can dig up. So my landlord doesn't mind if I do container gardening. And honestly, if I don't see anybody else gardening, a lot of my container gardening will probably end up being in my spare room with grow lights. Because if nobody else is gardening, I really don't want all my stuff getting stolen. And I know that sounds greedy, especially because last year I had such an abundance in my garden, especially of tomatoes. And I was giving them away every day. And I want to be able to give them away to other people. But I also have myself and my son to feed. And I feel like if everyone would start a garden, you know, some people are going to have more success than others, but at least if you're trying, you'll grow something. And then we can all help each other out. So, you know, please consider planting, even if you're not someone who thinks of yourself as having a green thumb or who has gardening experience. This is the year, I think, to give it a try. Whether it's an indoor hydroponic type garden, whether it's just containers, or whether you have the land to really, you know, do an in-ground garden, that's super. Anyway, I'll try to do the video tomorrow of actually making up my mind of which 50 seeds are going in here, and I will let you know how it goes and show it to you once it's set up. And on that note, I wish everybody good health. Stay indoors. Only go out if you really have to. All that stuff that everybody else is already telling you. Thank you for watching. And be well and be good to each other. Okay? Have a good night and a good day.